Well, I started in the seller finance note business in 1980, which was about 30 years ago. I was a very young guy, about 20 years old. I didn't have any kind of background in the business, and really I was a cowboy. I laughed and I've told people this is the first job I've ever had where I had to take my spurs off to come to work. I started in the business, didn't have any mortgage or real estate background whatsoever, but the market conditions were very conducive for seller financing in 1980. Interest rates were really high and people were sort of desperate for an alternative financing solution. That sound familiar to today? And so as that began, I really started out with a mentor, started out with a couple of guys that got me started, showed me kind of the direction, gave me some step-by-step processes to begin. We didn't have all the materials and training that I've developed today, but I certainly believe that I would have never been successful had I not gotten started with a mentor. Well, you know, what makes Eddie Speed's training in note school different is, first of all, you've had a guy that's been in the trenches for 30 years doing the business every day. I've closed over 30,000 notes, so my perspective of teaching is very different than probably a typical seminar company. Maybe they're good communicators and maybe they're good at telling a story, but I passionately teach the story of what it's really going to look like when you're out in the business. A lot of people have bought books and tapes. A lot of people have closets of books and tapes. Well, the truth of the matter is, I don't want you to just have books and tapes. I want you to have the professor. I want you to have the guy that's been in the trenches and done it. And how our trainings work is I literally give you the books and tapes. So I don't want it to be about the money. I want to give you the training you need so that you can pursue this business the way you want to pursue it. And then I want to see you. I want to look you in the eyes. I want to get to know you. I want to be able to spend time interacting with you as a student. I want to get you to where you're looking at this business and you're not just conceptually understanding it, but you're driving. You're in the driver's seat and you're driving the business, doing it just the way I've been doing it. You know, most people, I refer to it as the cash flow or the paper business or the note business. You've heard me use all those terms. But the truth of the matter is I say the word business and people go, oh, well, I would have to commit to a full-time business. Most people that we train, our most successful beginner students, start out as a part-time business and then bridge themselves over into full-time employment at some later date. But you're not looking at a full-time commitment. We have many students that spend as little as 2 or 3 or 5 hours per week and are having success doing this business. Well, you know, one of the things that's very important, and we're going to talk about seller financing specifically for a moment. One of the things that's very important is understanding the growth in the market and where the growth has been, the demographics of who creates notes and what those notes look like. In the early 2000s, you'll hear me say that seller financing was simply a needle in a haystack. Only one in about every 400 mortgages that were created in that era was a seller finance transaction. But now we've grown to last year where we've seen seller financing that has grown to 1 in 50 real estate transactions. And we've seen a double the amount of seller financing this year. The amount of seller financing this year has doubled compared to what we saw just last year. So clearly there's a huge growth in the market. Now that's point number one. Point number two is not just knowing there's a growth, but what loans to chase and who that customer looks like. It's very important to understand there's such a large pile of notes to chase today that we have to chase the most profitable area of the industry and not just chase every transaction. And I'm going to be very, very specific with you in showing you that. In the next video, we're going to talk about more than just seller financing. The seller finance industry has a tremendous growth, but we're going to talk about alternative financing overall and how it relates to the realtor, the real estate investor, and where those opportunities lie, not just in seller financing, but the knowledge base that you would gain about our business and how it would help you overall. I'm going to tell you a story about a mega seasoned hard money lender that literally changed his whole business model after coming to one of my advanced classes, and we're going to talk about that and what changed about the business and why that was so important and what he had learned.